What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning back in to another episode. This will be episode 12 of the OIG Podcast. Kevin Orsinger, myself, Max Messett. We'll go ahead and dive straight into this one. This one is the psychology of investing. So, Kevin, I know you've been in the business quite some time, and you've probably seen all ends of this conversation of fear, greed, worry, different mindsets going into it. Kind of maybe run us through what kind of some of those look like, maybe.
Yeah, I think the first thing to recognize is money on its own is an emotional thing. Um, am I making enough? Am I spending too much?
Right.
Am I making a lot and not spending much? But then also, you have some anger towards the money that's just sitting at the bank because you haven't done enough to enjoy yourself. From the investing side, it's the two things that are killers, are fear and greed. When the markets are struggling, the fear part is, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell everything. I'm going to run to cash and I'm going to wait out the volatility. The greed part is my portfolio is doing pretty well, but if I got more aggressive, it's going to do significantly better. And both of those are harmful to somebody's long-term success. Talk to current clients and new clients all the time about one of our biggest role, if not our biggest role that we provide to people is not that we don't care about your money, because we do, but we are not emotionally attached to somebody's money. And when you've worked hard and earned the money and invested it, and to see it be less at some stage than it was at the high, even if you invested $1,000 and it turned to $2,000, now it's worth $1,800. Logically, you're still $800 ahead, but all most people see is, oh my gosh, I've lost $200. And I have, full disclosure, I have the same reaction towards my personal money as clients do. Last Friday was a tough market day. I think it was June 5th, maybe.
Yep.
And over the weekend, I looked at my accounts, and it is tough to see that you have significantly less than you had the day before.
Right.
But I didn't make an emotional decision on it. You know that the markets are going to go up way more than they go down. You have to weather those decisions and just kind of wait it out. And when you're making decisions to buy something or sell something, you're doing it because it's best for you long term, not because it's going to make you feel good in the short term.
Yeah. And then going with that, there's both ends of those spectrums. Is there any tips or I guess it's not tips, but any way that you feel people can handle some of those emotions as they roll in? Not talking them off the ledge, but also at the same time, it's like, hey, this is a normal reaction. I guess that's kind of where I was headed with that. It's a normal reaction when you feel as if you have less money.
Sure.
Even like you said, you probably have more money than you started with, but you see that account value decline. A normal reaction is, holy crap, what am I going to do? What if this continues? Is there any mind easers that you feel are like, hey, this is kind of how you control that?
Yeah. Longevity of investing, the longer you are an investor, I think the easier it is to realize that this has happened before, we've survived it. I think the biggest guidance or advice I would provide to somebody to help with this, if you have fear and greed kind of mindset and if that's just kind of how you're wired, work with a professional.
Yeah.
Put an investment professional between you and your money.
Yeah.
And not that ultimately, if somebody says, I absolutely want out, I don't care what you think, the advisor is probably going to do that for you, although it's probably after a lengthy conversation of why it's a bad idea. But yeah, I think the two things. One is, the longer you're an investor, the more you realize this does happen. We've got clients that have been investors for 40 plus years, don't even bat an eye when the markets go down anymore, because they know if they just sit tight, probably 12 months from now, 18 months from now, 24 months from now, they're going to have significantly more. And then I think for those that invest on their own, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're wired in a manner that you can approach things without emotion, God bless you.
Yeah.
But put an investment professional between you and your money, that when things aren't going the way you want, or they're going really great and you want to get super aggressive to capture some extra returns, you have somebody from an unemotional side that's able to talk to you and say, listen, I understand exactly what you're saying. Here's some reasons why long-term this is probably not a good idea for you.
Yeah. Because in turn, our end goal is to kind of avoid those, not avoid the
Yeah.
avoid taking action on the reaction. Kind of that, you're going to have that market volatility both ways. You're going to have those feelings of, man, we're crushing it. You're going to have those feelings of, uh-oh, we might be in trouble. But I think the biggest thing it comes down to is avoiding pulling the trigger in those moments. I think that's the biggest mistake that we have seen and we come across time and time again is when it is actually the action is put into place, and how we can avoid those actions happening. Again, if you're an investor that you invest your own money, sometimes the lesson is learned the hard way, like we talk about. But working with a professional in that is, like Kevin said, we then take on that responsibility of there is a conversation. There's that buffer of, hey, let me get some input on this that allows me to really understand the situation before we make a move or a decision on what that looks like and the path that you head down, in time. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's normal. We don't want to make it sound like having these thoughts or reactions to what the market's doing,
right.
Whether the markets are doing really well
right.
or really poorly, having reactions to, oh boy, maybe I should pull my money out. Oh boy, maybe I should get more aggressive. Nothing wrong with that mindset, but you need to know that there's nothing that's guaranteed. And historically, we've only had 2 clients that we have, I'll say, allowed to get their money out of the markets. And I told both of them at the time that before you decide to get back in, you're going to miss 10% of the upside.
Yeah.
So we've ridden this roller coaster down for X number of months. And I understand it's stressful when it's tough and your hard-earned money is worth less than it was at one stage. But over the 25 years or so I've done this, there have been 2 instances which the people, listen, I can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
It's not worth the stress kind of stuff. And okay, but understand the math of it. By the time you feel comfortable enough to reinvest your money, you're going to miss the first 10%.
Yeah.
The last time it happened, the individual with their portfolio missed the first 12% of the upside.
Wow.
So it took away a little bit of stress during that time frame, sure, but that's money that they're never, ever going to get.
Right. Which, as we talked the long-term game, that is, and I know you kind of hit on that in the beginning of when you look at the long-term outlook, these are all part of that roller coaster that we talk about. And that is, there's 2 sides of that roller coaster. Riding the roller coaster on the, hey, the market's going to go up and down side, and riding the roller coaster on the emotional, watching the roller coaster go up and down side. And I think those are both things that kind of take their own little mindset when you talk about it, because they're not the same. Watching the numbers go up and down and the feelings attached to watching the numbers go up and down are 2 completely different things. So making sure when you're headed into, having your plan over, maybe you're a young investor that, hey, we can ride this roller coaster for a long time, or maybe you're somebody on the back half of that roller coaster pulling back into the, the station that's like, my long-term has shortened some. It's still a long-term outlook though. You've rode the roller coaster for X amount of years, and these are the parts that were, as Kevin and I kind of talk sometimes, the opportunity, because, as we talk more about this, I think we'll kind of swing this conversation to almost the inverse mindset that you want to feel, or almost the inverse emotions that you want to feel. Your mindset should be the other way, in a way, of money sitting on the sidelines. And I don't know if we want to get right into that now, but I think it could be a great way to kind of explain what that looks like as well.
So yeah, Warren Buffett's probably the greatest individual investor of all time, and his famous saying was, because he had the ability to take emotion out of it, he would invest in the stock market when everyone else was panicking and fleeing from the stock market.
Yep.
And when everyone was in that greed phase where more and more money was piling in, that was the time he was going to start to sell some stuff and put some money on the sidelines. So again, logically, all of that stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
If you were to take a quiz about what you should do, it is a buy low and sell high industry. If you are an investor, whether it is a 40, 50, 60-year time horizon or a 10-year time horizon, everyone knows that unemotionally.
Yeah.
Buy when the market's going down and not sell when it's going up, but take some profits maybe or lock in some gains as it's going in that direction. And then you put, $10,000 or $100,000 of your money into an investment and see it do the things you don't want it to do. Your 100,000 is worth 85,000 at this stage. Common sense should be like, can I scrounge up some more money to put in the markets?
Right.
And what most people thought is holy crap, I don't want this to be $70,000.
Yeah.
So it is, yeah. Again, it's easily recognizable for people, as I think most emotions are, but doing, I'll say doing something about it, but I think the correct way to say that is probably doing nothing about it.
Right. No, exactly.
Is the best option. And that nothing should include, if you're super nervous, a conversation with your investment advisor.
Right.
You know,
Which I think in turn, like you talked about, not to cut in there though,
yeah.
is just that same conversation that we have. That's the importance of working with somebody in these situations, because it allows you to reframe that mindset of, hey, I went from 100,000 to 85,000, and you're going to go talk to your financial professional or your advisor, and they're going to say, well, hey, if you have money at the bank, now's the time to get it in. You're going to want to stand up and go, what are you talking about? You know, this that sounds crazy, but that's where the emotion gets separated from what should actually happen. And the opportunity cost that we talk about of being able to get money in the market at a lower price. And in turn, when that goes the other way, we have more money playing in the game. So that is, and I know we hit on that a lot, but that is really the turn in working with somebody and taking that emotion out and that mindset shift of really understanding the market and knowing what's the most benefit that we can get from these opportunities and situations, and not just ride the panic roller coaster of one way or the high horse roller coaster of, look, my 100's 150 and I should just completely get out because I made everything, right? Like there is a very fine line on both sides of that equation that can get you in trouble. Really, that can get you, and not get you in trouble, but can make the situation worse rather than taking advantage and making it better.
And any money decision, whether that is investing, getting out of investing, purchasing a vehicle, none of that should be made with any sort of emotion attached to it. So you know, the psychology of investing is really the psychology of money.
Yeah.
And that is, am I making a level-headed decision here? Have I put thought into it? Have I looked kind of and I used to do this, I don't anymore, but you'd have the two columns, you know, the plus column and the minus column.
Pros and cons.
If I do, you know, if I do A, here's the good things that can come from it, but here's some bad things.
Yep.
You know, and I know that's a nerdy way to approach things, but that's a perfect way also to take the emotion out of it. We have had on multiple occasions, people have taken their cars in to be serviced at a service station and left with a new vehicle because something needed service that they didn't think needed serviced. I've only had this for 2 years. How could this possibly need a new whatchamacallit? And the anger emotion creeps up and it's like, well, I'll teach you guys. I'm not getting that fixed. I'm just going to buy a new car to you jerks. And instead of spending $1,500 to get something fixed, you would walk out of the dealership with a $60,000 truck that you probably didn't need. And again, if you can take emotion out of it and just sit down with that pad and paper and make you know, what's the benefits of getting this piece fixed on the vehicle versus what's the benefits of buying a new one? The benefits of getting it fixed for $1,500 are going to greatly outweigh the decision to, you know, you guys go pound salt. I'm not getting that fixed. I'm buying a new vehicle and I'm going to teach you. And the funny thing is almost every single person that has done that, once everything is settled, they can laugh about it and think, God, what a silly decision that was.
And that's exactly kind of what you hit on with Warren Buffett is the when everybody's kind of thinking one thing, it's not always, hey, you need to listen to the crowd, because that is the typical emotion that plays. Markets go down. How much do you hear? Sell, get out, protect yourself. You know, that's the typical herd mentality, like we talk about. And I think straying away from that and kind of getting yourself outside that scope isn't the worst thing, because that allows you to make the level-headed, working with somebody decisions that can make the most sense. And in turn with that, also following that plan. We talk about working with somebody. We talk about, you know, being connected to your money. Have an idea of, you know, if you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, what does that next 10, 20, 30 years look like for me? What are my goals? What am I trying to accomplish? And so when things like this happen, what steps do I need to take to make sure I'm staying on track for those goals, for that plan, for what I want retirement, my future, my, you know, financial goals in 5 years to look like? This is where that having a solidified idea of what you're doing, understanding it, having a plan really comes into play, because you just kind of stay fluid, as we talk about in a lot of our podcast episodes, and make adjustments where you need to, get money in the market, get money out of the market, however that looks, and just stay on track. Stay
Yeah,
on track.
you should, you should have an idea. If you're a 30-year-old and you're saving X number of dollars a month and you've got it invested in a certain risk tolerance that should net you a certain percentage return, you should be able about every decade or so to be able to look ahead and think, I should have about X in that account. So, if we get through that first decade, and let's say it's, whatever we've invested has grown to $100,000. And, or I take that back. What our expectation is that we should have $100,000 at that stage. And in year 10, we have $142,000, right? The markets have been unbelievable to us.
Right.
And the markets go down and you lose $20,000 of that. Smart person looks at that and thinks, well, I can live with that because I still have $22,000 more than I expected to have at this stage. Granted, I have less than the peak, but I still have more money right now than I was anticipating having. So if you have some targets, and not to the penny, but if you have a target that I should have around X, it's good to be able to check in with that. To see, okay, I'm ahead of schedule. So if the markets take some back, that's not a problem. The other thing it does for people is over that 10-year period, you had probably 8 good periods and 2 bad ones.
Yeah.
So you're able to mentally start to understand that, well, if I just stay invested and I'm invested in the right stuff, and that's important too, because if you invest in garbage and stay invested in garbage, you're going to get garbage results. But if you are invested and the markets go up 8 years and down 2 years, and at the end of that, you're at or above your target number, it starts to reinforce that it doesn't matter what happens on an ongoing basis. It doesn't matter this week or this month or this year if the returns are good or bad necessarily. If I'm confident in what historically happens, my returns in any given 10 or so year period are probably going to be pretty consistent to what I'm hoping they're going to be and what I'm invested to get. And it starts to change the psychology of your thinking that when the markets go down, it's not doom and gloom.
Yeah.
It's part of being an investor.
That's exactly it.
And everyone has to go with that. Whether you're a brand new investor or a Warren Buffett of the world, everyone goes through periods where their money is worth less than it was the previous day, the previous week, the previous month, the previous year. The decisions you make at that stage will impact whether you have success long-term or not. Smart ones stay invested. Smart ones invest other funds into down markets. Ones that maybe don't reach their goals are the ones that panic, the ones that either get out of the market or things are going really good, so I'm going to get super aggressive. And that's great if you know when to go from super aggressive to less aggressive, and nobody does. So you end up taking a beating on the back end of it. So you're 100% right. Having some sort of long-term plan, and especially with the ability to track where I should be, where I'm expected to be, based on how much I'm putting away, what my expected returns are based on the level of risk I'm willing to take, can alleviate some of those concerns and some of that anxiety. Hey, I should be at 100,000. I'm at 122. And even though I was at 140 6 months ago, I'm still okay. I'm still ahead of schedule. And I think that's the most important number in all of it.
Yep. I agree. We'll go ahead and do a little summary slide here just to kind of touch on everything that we got through on this one. There it is. So kind of like we go through these guys and we try and do it in order that kind of leads through as you're an investor. So first starting off with understanding your emotions, understand that, greed and fear side of things, of when things are going well, things are going bad. Just the full on emotional picture that you have around investing is understanding what that looks like and what reactive emotions might come about is a great start. Avoiding those reactive decisions based on those emotions is a huge step in this of when markets are down, not just pulling the trigger, getting money out, but allowing it to continue to leverage for you, maybe putting extra money in if you have the opportunity, and just keeping that emotional stable mindset around this. Always focus on the long term. We say it a lot. We're long-term investors. We look out for that younger investor or somebody that's going to retirement, but our end goal is how can we make the longevity of this money the best situation possible for you. So just keep an eye on that. But where are common biases? So we talk about that herd mentality when people are telling you, hey, my guy said this, or I know this, I invest my own money and you have to get out when you're down 5%. Talk to a professional, work with somebody, understand the situation, and don't just follow what you're hearing around you, because that's not always the best, because there is a lot of emotion wrapped into this. And then stay disciplined and trust your plan. And we talk about the importance, I know I say it time and time again, of being connected to your money, working with somebody. When you have, like Kevin said, some goals, priorities set of where you should be in X amount of time, make sure you're checking in, understanding why you're not there if you're not there, or if you're above that, how you got there and what situations you can keep to allow that to be the moral of the story going forward. And maybe you adjust your goals if you realize you're ahead of schedule and have the opportunity to do so. We always talk about you can't be too set for retirement. So stay ahead of the ball and keep it rolling as you head. And then here, guys, this is all of our our contact information. Scan that QR code, check all of our links out. We put a lot of great information. Other than just this podcast that we do, we have a lot of short videos, just marketing stuff that we have that really is great informational pieces for everybody. We love new topic ideas. So there's a text message thing or our emails. Please shoot your name and whatever topic you might want to hear or questions you have from prior ones. Check out our website. Give us a call here. We love interacting with you guys. So drop a comment, leave whatever. We just love some new ideas, some feedback from what we're doing. But as always, we appreciate you guys watching. And we'll see you on whatever the next episode we bring to you. And it will be here in the near future. So appreciate everybody.
Very good. Thanks.